Welcome back to Turnabout Wilde. Let's get on with part 2, which should complete the rest of this fan-made game. Right now we're at the ZPD Detention Center on June 20th at 10 a.m. So, today's the day, huh? Don't worry, Nick, we'll get you out of this. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Carrots. I have some evidence to support your innocence. If Edgeworth has seen this evidence too, he will likely steer the case in your favor. And if not... Whoops, already scrolling up. If he thinks you are truly guilty, then I've got a fight on my hands. Well, doesn't that make me feel loads better? Thanks so much, Spike! Don't worry, I dealt with him a few times before. We should probably get going. I've got to get you to the courtroom. Understood, let's get a move on. Oh! One thing. It's, well, about the judge. Yes, what about them? Wait, who is even presiding over the case? About that... There was another incident yesterday. Incident? What are you talking about? Well, we ran into somebody who claims they know you. And since our normal judge caught the flu, he volunteered to fill in. Come again? Meh, you'll see for yourself. Why do I suddenly have a feeling of dread? As if no one watching this saw this coming. I will admit I wasn't expecting it either, so... Oh well. Zootopia Courthouse, courtroom number 2 on June 20th, 11 a.m. It's Santa Judge! Are we really that surprised? Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Nicholas Wilde. Are the defense and prosecution ready? Is something the matter? Your Honor, may I inquire to how you are here? Oh, I see. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I found myself in the middle of this fascinating city, and when Miss Hobbs mentioned your names, I knew it must be fate. Fate? Or lazy programmers, Your Honor. Though I doubt this is a coincidence. Somebody set this up. Nope, no one has. Now that is cleared up. Are we ready to start? The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Very well. Mr. Edgeworth, your opening statement. At once, of course. Mr. Jum, we're gonna call him Jum because I'm having trouble pronouncing his actual name, was murdered in his own parlor. The accused is CPD officer Nick Wilde. By the trial's end, I intend to see the truth brought to light. Whatever that truth may be. Well said as always, Mr. Edgeworth. Now where shall we begin? First up, I would like to call my first witness. The officer in charge of the case, who is also the chief of the ZPD at Precinct 1. I call Chief Bogo to the stand. Alright then, time to see what the chief has to say. You called? Witness, please give your name and occupation. Bogo, Chief of Police. Well, you certainly fit the role. I suppose you're going to give us all some more details on the crime. That is correct, Your Honor. Witness, could you please testify as to what you know? Of course, I can tell you what you want to know. Here we go. It's time to begin the testimony segment of the Phoenix Wright games. The witness will testify to the court. Then it will be my job to perform the cross-examination. Okay, Phoenix, just explain it for me. Bogo has no reason to lie, but we'll see what comes up. And if he has made any mistakes... Alright, so here's how this works. You listen to the witness's testimony all the way through once. We are dealing with a murder. The victim is one Jerry Jumb Jr., who owned an ice cream parlor. He died from a single gunshot wound to the heart. The murder weapon was a service pistol belonging to Officer Nicholas Wilde. We also have a witness placing Officer Wilde at the scene. Well, that seems pretty clear-cut. Based solely on that testimony, anyone would believe Mr. Wilde did it. But that's where I come in. I take it you are ready to begin your cross-examination, then? But I would be careful, Wright. Accusing the chief of police of perjury shouldn't be undertaken lightly. It would hardly be the first time. I am ready to begin, Your Honor. Very well, then. The defense may begin its cross-examination of the witness's testimony. So here's how this works. Now we heard it through. We need to go through the trial, go through the testimony and find a contradiction. We are dealing with a murder. Wrong button. The victim is one Jerry Jumb Jr., who owned an ice cream parlor. He died from a single gunshot wound to the heart. The murder weapon was a service pistol belonging to Officer Nicholas Wilde. We also have a witness placing Officer Wilde at the scene. Was there anything in there? Should I look again or move on? But I must be careful with decisions like these. The wrong one could doom the case. So what do I do? Believe it or not, you want to move on. No more questions, Your Honor. Your Honor, you must see from this that Mr. Wilde is the primary and only suspect in this case. The evidence against him is substantial. So I can see. And after that testimony, I'm all ready to give my verdict at this very moment. Don't you think that is a little premature, Your Honor? The defense is correct. We have yet to hear from my second witness. Ah, yes, the one who saw the defendant kill the victim. So she claims, anyway. She did seem convinced. Claims she saw the exact crime at 1:15 exactly. Thank you, witness. You may go. Very well. Hold it! Yes, Mr. Wright? You just said the exact crime at 1:15 exactly. Those were her exact words? Yes, when we first interviewed her. She showed off this expensive watch of hers just to punctuate how exact. Is there something wrong, Mr. Wright? If there is something you want to share with us, please do. Gladly, Your Honor. Alright, what do you wish to show us in relation to the witness's statement? Alright, let me see where it is. It's not this. Tells him the day before. Haha, here it is. The victim's autopsy report. We want to hit the check button. Time of death, 1:10. Cause of death, one gunshot wound to the heart. That is incorrect, or that is contradictory to what was just said. Take that! Take a look at this. The autopsy report states the victim died at 1:10 p.m. that day, while the witness comes into play at 1:15. How did she see the murder when she arrived 5 minutes afterwards? How did I miss that? It would appear coming here has taken Edward off his game a little. Let's enjoy it while it lasts. My word! There's a whole 5-minute gap between the killing and the witness's arrival. Objection! What now? The witness could have been mistaken. Her watch could have been wrong for all we know. We won't know for sure until we get her out here. Still, wasn't it the defendant's gun used in the murder? And his prints were found on it? right, Mr. Edgeworth. Or right, Mr. Edgeworth? Mr. Edgeworth! The prosecutor is stunned because he's aware of my next piece of evidence. Oh, fudge, I forgot about this. Next piece of evidence? The defendant appears to have used his own gun in the killing. So what piece of evidence casts that idea into doubt? Oh, well, I guess the obvious one. The lost property form.
Take that!
And this, did I screw up already? It's quite simple, Your Honor. You see, this form was filled out by my client the day of the crime. Reporting that his service weapon had in fact gone missing. The defendant didn't have his gun on the day of the murder. But now, be that as it may, only the defendant's prints were found on the gun. And while it's possible that culprit used gloves to hide his or her prints, it's just as likely that the defendant faked the report to cover his own tracks. It appears we are at a stalemate at this time. The defendant could have faked the report as part of their premeditated murder, or somebody took the gun and used it to frame Mr. Wilde. Either way, I cannot give a verdict at this time. The prosecution stands to the former theory. Mr. Wilde filled out a missing item report to make it appear his gun was gone, away from his grasp. Then, believing himself safe, he committed the murder. However, he did not count on the witness being there.
Objection!
I'm not through yet. My client was framed for this murder, and I intend to prove your next witness. Do you now? Well then, for Mr. Wilde's sake, I hope you have some good evidence to go off of. After all, the evidence makes the theories, not the other way around. Oh, don't worry, I'm well aware. Tisk tisk. Try not to let that bravado go to your head, Mr. Wright. Still, I would now like to call my next witness. Bailiff! Please bring them to the stand. Let's see if we can clear some of this up. Witness, name and occupation, please. My name is 3 lines. Or 3 dots. So, Mr. Wright, I take it we shall picking up where we left off? Where you so rudely called me a liar. Enough! I want your name, please! I don't know what you are, Mr. Wright. But as an outsider to Zootopia, I would be careful if I were you. Witness! Name and occupation! Miss Witness, receptionist. A receptionist? I wonder if she scares away anyone who comes near. Now, witness. You claim to have seen the defendant commit the murder. I did. How do you explain the time difference? Hey, whose side are you on? Anyway, I did see it all, but my watch must have been 5 minutes fast. A simple mistake, and one you can hardly blame me for not noticing, considering that every day you see something that terrible. And by a cop of all people. Exactly, thank you for understanding. Alright, could you please testify to the court the details of that dreadful event? If I must, I shall. Oh, it was just dreadful! That fox just walked on in, but I could see everything through the front windows. They talked for a moment, then the fox pulled his gun and killed the poor elephant. With a smirk on his dastardly face, he examined his work, and that's when I screamed for help. Startled, he dropped the gun. Soon after, the ZPD arrived and arrested the creature. I bet he did because he was a predator and the elephant prey. He is a savage, I tell you. A disgrace. Is it me, or does she have something against foxes? So, that's everything? Yes, that's everything. Sound like quite the trying ordeal. This sound like a very crooked cop to me. What could possess a person to do such a thing? The killer is heartless, I must admit. Why him? What purpose drove the culprit? Was it truly just because he was a prey species? It must have been. What else? And yet my client is dating a bunny. Nothing adds up. I need to do my cross-examination. I concur. Witness, could you please? Oh, it's just dreadful. That fox just walked on in, but I could see everything through the front windows.
Hold it!
And it was definitely a fox you saw? Yes, I saw the fox enter and do the terrible crime. Why are you crying about the species, Mr. Wright? Is this something you want added to the testimony? Should I? Why not? If you could please add that to your testimony. Very well. It was definitely a fox I saw enter that parlor. They talked for a moment, then the fox pulled his gun and killed the poor elephant.
Hold it!
So they talked for a moment? Hang on. Yes, though I know not what about. Then he just pulled the gun and fired both shots at the poor elephant. I see. Is there anything in this statement I need? Yes! Witness! Please add that to your testimony. If you insist, we've already gotten all the information we need for this cross-examination, but there's one more thing I want to press just for laughs. With a smirk on his dastardly face, he examined his work, and that's when I screamed for help. Startled, he dropped the gun. Soon after, the ZPD arrived and arrested the creature. I bet he did it because he is predator and the elephant prey. He is a savage, I tell you. A disgrace.
Hold it!
He did it because he was a predator? He must be one of those disgusting individuals believing we predators should return to the old ways. A truly astonishing frame of mind. Are you aware Mr. Wilde is dating a bunny? Officer Judy Hobbs is, last I checked, classified as a member of the prey species herself. Oh, I was, unaware. Not so confident now, are you?
Objection!
This is all just speculation. I request we get back to the topic at hand, and I actually agree. Objection sustained. Please continue, witness. I wonder if there's anyone watching who's not familiar with the Zootopia movie and is all like, why is he a fox dating a bunny or whatever? It's just, I know there's some people out there who are crazy like that. I think that's weird. But anyway, he just pulled a gun and fired both shots. The monster. Hang on a minute. Where is it? This. According to the autopsy report, the cause of death was one gunshot wound to the heart. Therefore...
Objection!
Oh, Mrs. Ness, you slipped. Because the victim was only shot once, through the heart. Ah! My word. Mrs. Ness, are you aware you just committed perjury? Only a single shot was fired, so there is no both to speak of. The witness has lied to this court under oath, seeking to hide the truth. And I would very much like to know what, or rather who, you were hiding. As would I. Unless you can come up with an explanation, your credibility has just taken a severe beating.
Hold it!
I would like to take this time to give my apologies to the defense. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, for you see, this next piece of evidence was a last-minute find by the ZPD. We did not have time to inform the defense. We barely registered it in time. Neither has it had a thorough examination, but it is still telling nevertheless. And it did not become overly relevant until now, so I did not reveal it sooner.
Take that!
This bullet was found lodged in the far corner of the parlor. So in other words, there were in fact 2 shots fired. One of them missed the target while the other one hit. It also showed my earlier point about how the killer got lucky with the direct hit to the heart. Since one of them ended up missing and yet the other was so on point, the gun itself was empty, no bullets in the clip. He must have only had those 2 loaded at the time. So the witness was in fact telling the truth. 2 shots were indeed fired. And that, as they say, is that. What?! Order! In the court! Actually, no, once when I was doing it, instead of playing Phoenix Wright games, instead of saying order, I did shut up! So there was no contradiction after all. All the defense's claims have been invalidated. Which clears up the remaining ounces of doubt within my mind. I am ready to pronounce my verdict. I can't let it end here. There must be something wrong with that bullet. There has to be! Your Honor, just one last thing. I'm sorry, Mr. Wright. My mind has been made up. Good to see justice being served. But I find the defendant, Mr. Nicholas Wilde.
Objection!
We're not quite done yet. What are you doing? You were about to win! Winning, losing, it's all irrelevant to me. The ultimate truth is what counts, and Mr. Wright has something else to say. And I will not deny him the chance to say it. You can't! I can. If you're telling the truth, then surely you have nothing to worry about. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth, but my mind is made up. You have one chance to change it. Waste this court's time and the trial ends with a guilty verdict. I understand, Your Honor. See, Judy, this is what I meant about me and Edgeworth being a team. Alright then. Now what do you have to present? You want to present 2 pieces of evidence. Alright, and what pieces of evidence might they be? Item number 1. You want to present Nick's service pistol?
Take that!
Interesting. And the second piece? You want to present the bullet?
Take that!
The gun in the second bullet? There is no second bullet. No second bullet? What are you talking about? Then where did the evidence I submitted come from? You did say you didn't have time to examine the bullet. If you had, you might have realized it came from here.
Take that!
It happened to come from the previous robbery. According to this crime report, the robber had a gun. The crime report also goes on to say how, while there were no injuries, 1 shot was fired. This means the second bullet likely came from there, as an examination will reveal. Which leads me to one final conclusion. Since the second bullet was not fired from Mr. Wilde's service pistol, That means the pistol in question only fired once, as given Mr. Edgeworth's claims. The magazine was empty when it was found. There was only one bullet in the magazine. I don't know where that came from, which also shows a certain somebody hasn't been entirely truthful. And they very nearly got an innocent police officer given the wrong verdict. In short, the witness was lying. Shut up, shut up, shut up! Witness, is this true? If we take a 30-minute recess, we can examine the bullet's ballistic markings to find out. We will see whether they match Mr. Wilde's service pistol or not. Then we shall take a 30-minute recess. 30 minutes later. Court is back in session for the trial of Mr. Nicholas Wilde. As the examination proved fruitful, our findings confirm the bullet and the gun do not match. The defense was correct, it would appear. Thus, the witness was indeed lying. However, despite this, Mr. Wilde was the only one confirmed at the scene. Even if the witness lied about the number of shots, Mr. Wilde is still the primary suspect. And yet the seed of doubt is planted once more. Witness, your credibility has taken a hit. However, I would still like you to testify about how Mr. Wilde was the only one present. I come here to help and you treat me like a criminal. Wilde is guilty and I will show it to you. I lied, that was wrong of me. But despite this, there was nobody else there. In the end, it could be nobody else. Nobody else? I think it's time to reveal that evidence. Please, let's waste no time and get to the cross-examination underway. And this is where it gets good. I lied, that was wrong of me. But despite there was nobody else there.
Hold it!
Are you sure? You already lied once under oath, do not do it again. Mr. Wright, I am certain. So anyway, in the end it could be nobody else. Okay. Well, what do you have to say to this?
Objection!
Wrong one. Hang on. If we decide this, there was nobody else there. There we go. And so the time arrives at last. Stop scrolling. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, there was somebody else in the parlor that day. What? What is that? I do believe that is bunny fur, if I am not mistaken. Correct. It was at the scene of the crime. Mr. Jum was very thorough in his clean, thanks to his encounter with Officer Hops. That fur would have only ended up stay on the floor after the parlor's closure. And of course, after his untimely death. The only other time it could have ended up and stay there is around the time of the murder. Besides, how many bunnies attend an ice cream park for elephants and other large animals? That bunny was there in the 5-minute gap before my client's arrival. And is a true murderer and the one who tried to frame Mr. Wilde. Mr. Wright? Aren't you being a little quick in that assumption? I mean, there's a simpler explanation. There is. Then please, witness, do explain. Once it finishes the little animation. There we go. You're all forgetting one thing! It's an ice cream parlor, for goodness sake! That bunny was probably there to get an ice cream cone or a jumbo pop. What? It seems you've forgotten. So allow me to remind you of one simple detail that is really quite obvious even to someone who's not been paying attention to the last 30 minutes of this video. You're all forgetting one thing. It's an ice cream parlor, for goodness sake. That bunny was probably there to get an ice cream cone or a jumbo pop. Well, how could they do it when it's closed? Mrs. Ness? The parlor was closed! Nobody was coming for ice cream or jumbo pops. No, this cannot be! I wouldn't make such a simple mistake! Nobody is infallible, witness. Your lies are what led you to this point. This is the consequence of your actions. It's over, Mrs. Ness. This mysterious bunny committed the murder, and you helped cover it up. But why? What was in it for you? I would very much like to know that myself. As would I. I have encountered many people like you throughout my career, human and otherwise. All had their reasons. And I would very much like to know yours, witness. Mrs. Ness? Darn you. I don't know who the bunny is. All I know is he or she paid me to act as a witness. It was anonymous. He or she told me what to do and what to say. It was a lot of money. How could I refuse? It always comes down to money, doesn't it? That someone had the money to spend and resources to commit this crime. It is worrying, to say the least. But that's an investigation for later. The trial here and now is what matters. Witness, you committed perjury and were a co-conspirator to murder. This is the end of the road for you. Shut up! Mr. Edgeworth, what is the status of Mrs. Witness? She has been arrested and taken for further questioning, Your Honor. Excellent work as always, Mr. Wright. Gee, thanks, but well, it wasn't just me. Indeed. Either way, I believe I can now safely hand down the correct verdict. I find the defendant, Mr. Nicholas Wilde, not guilty. Court is now adjourned. And now we're back at the Zootopia outskirts. Why we decided to go all the way back here to do this scene is beyond me. Oh boy, it feels good to be out of there. You have my thanks, Spike. You did a better job than I originally gave you credit. It was no problem. I'm just glad you're okay. Congratulations, Nick. For a minute there, I thought I was going to lose you. Come on, Carrots, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. Besides, if worst came to worst, I have you to break me out. Now this is true. Hey, we should really give our thanks to Mr. Edgeworth, too. There's no need for thanks, I only did my job as a prosecutor. Well, you did lose. The truth was reached in the end. So in that aspect, I won. So it'd be a bad time to tell you I actually did it? Nick! That's not funny, you dumb fox. You know you love me, you sly bunny. Kissy time? Aw. Fortunately, no kissy time. I wish it was. It could have so done that. So, what now? Well, our place has room for 2 guests. And when the next case and trial come around, we'll be able to help a bit more than we did this time. I was honestly rather hoping whatever brought us here would have brought us home by now. Seems like we're stuck here, at least for now. Us being here is no coincidence. We were brought here on purpose. Someone wanted us here to solve the case. But who? Who even would have the power to bring us here? I don't know. But the case isn't solved yet. The bunny who did this remains free. And I fear we will encounter them again. You must be Mr. Phoenix Wright, correct? Yes? Who knew a bunny could be intimidating? Can we help you, sir? Name's Jack. Agent Jack Savage. You and me, Mr. Wright. We'll be seeing each other again very soon. Who the heck was that? I never heard of an Agent Jack Savage before. Me and Nick will do some digging at the ZPT, see what we can find on him. Appreciated. Whoever that guy was, I might want to watch my back. And that's how our stay in Zootopia began. A murder, new friends, and Jack Savage. And yet, despite all that, the only thing I could think of was this. Who brought us here? Oh, Nick. The answer to that question should really be obvious. Because, at the end of the day, who else? See you soon, Phoenix Wright. Turnabout Wilde. End. That's it for Turnabout Wilde. Continue to the derailed Turnabout. I'd say yes, but let me make sure. There we go. Yeah, I'd say yes, but it's ready. Holy, it's ready! Oh my gosh, I've been waiting for this. All right, tune in next time for the derailed Turnabout. Awesome! I can't wait to get started!